here with actor Dakota Shapiro. Before
How's
we
it going?
talk, how you doing, Dakota?
I'm good. I'm good.
Before we get into what you're working on now, let's talk a little bit about your background and when you first decided you wanted to be an actor. I know you're from Australia, correct?
Yeah. I think I think the seed was actually planted by my older brother.
Mm-hmm.
I really idolized him, and I remember. I mean, this isn't really why I wanted to do it, but I do remember a distinct moment of my brother being like, "I want to be an actor," and I remember thinking, "Yeah, I want to be an actor. That sounds
Mm-hmm.
cool." But really, it was like I was really obsessed with story when I was a kid. I wasn't really allowed to watch much TV, but I would read really obsessively, and like I've just always just been really in love with storytelling. So that's kind of I think where that came from, and now I'm just a huge, film and TV geek. I don't know.
Fanatic,
Yeah,
yeah.
fanatic. Yeah.
So, I understand you got a pretty prestigious honor bestowed upon you, right? Something with the Heath Ledger Scholarship.
Oh yeah. That's really cool. That's for anyone who's not familiar. It's like a scholarship that was started by Heath Ledger's family, and all these super great actors are the judges. But it's basically about trying to help young, aspiring Australian actors, help move them out to LA, like give them a little bit of money and blah blah blah. But yeah, the judges my year were like Gary Oldman, Naomi Watts. It was really cool being able to be in front of those people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And when did you come over to LA from Australia? And what was that like moving? Were you, were you nervous that you were coming out? Were you coming out by yourself?
Yeah, I moved out by myself when I was 20. I was really nervous. I only knew one person in the city. I actually left Australia when I was 14 though, and I was in California, but I was going to like a boarding school for a little while studying theater. But then I kind of re-moved back to California when I was 20. I mean, it is scary, but I think that's like the experience moving to a new city. It's also exciting and getting a lot of new experiences. So so far I'm enjoying it.
Did you work on losing your Australian accent? Because I hear it a little bit, but
It's only slight, yeah.
yeah, you don't hear it that much.
Honestly, I didn't
Or
work
are you
on
acting
it. It
right
just,
now?
Yeah. I got kind of like stuck in it a little bit because I'm just surrounded by Americans, so it's like it just kind of developed.
Yeah.
But it works because I mostly just work doing American accents anyway, so it's like actually easier for me to do an American than it is to do like a full Aussie at the moment.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I just
interesting.
had to audition for an Aussie role, and like I had to relearn my own accent.
They didn't offer it to you because you didn't sound Australian.
Right, exactly. I'm actually from there.
Lies. It's all lies. Now, you did a couple of short films, but you were also on an episode of The Affair. Was that your first, like, on-camera experience here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I was. Last year or the year before, but yeah, that was my first thing. It was cool. I had a couple lines. I was a student. I acted my socks off, and yeah, it was cool. And then I did, and then I got the show Valley of the Boom, which has been like kind of a bigger break for me.
This is your first series regular, role.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that project.
Ah, man, I'm really in love with that project because so many things came together for me on that one. Like, first of all, the director is just like one of the coolest human beings I've ever met. Like, now we go surfing. He's become like kind of a mentor, but like I met some of my dearest friends on that project, but really just everything about it was really unique, and there was something about it that was very I remember the director said to me, I think this is going to be so weird that some people are just not going to be into it. And I thought, I really liked that idea. I like the fact that, like, I really want to make something specific that, like, will really speak to some people and maybe not speak to some others. But, and also, I find the internet really fascinating. And now I've gone down this whole, after doing this show, it's like I'm
like
talking about
whole
technology.
rabbit hole, right?
My God, dude. It goes so
Make yourself
deep.
nuts.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, like, it's the world that we're living in right now. But,
Yeah.
For somebody who uses the internet every day, I was pretty surprised that I knew very little about how it started, and actually it's kind of a crazy story. There's so much money in something that people didn't really understand. Only a few people did.
What do you feel most challenged about by the role, besides the fact of not having the knowledge of how in depth the internet goes? What was challenging for you? What was not challenging? Talk a little bit about your role and what you brought to it.
Okay, so it was like what was challenging and what was actually helpful was kind of the same thing. Was like I play a real person, and it actually cuts between footage of the real person and myself, and so there's that instant comparison that kind of comes to mind. And so for me, it was about like trying to find a way of honoring his essence and not doing an imitation, you know. And what was also great about that though was Steph, the guy I play, was super helpful in like, he wrote an autobiography, so it was like easiest character research I've ever done. And we became friends, and he could give me all the info that I needed. So it was like, it was kind of both, you know, yeah.
So in a way, was it daunting to be playing somebody who was real and felt you got to do justice?
Yeah. I was terrified because I was terrified for him to watch it, but he actually really likes it, which is great. Well. Yeah, that's really good.
That's good now in hindsight that you know that. But
right. Before I remember him.
Whether...
He sent me a text being like, "I saw the show, like Ellipses," and I was like, "Okay, what do you think?" Yeah, but he really likes it, and you know, he's re-releasing his book, and he's kind of capitalizing off of it as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you have going on this year? Are you auditioning now?
This year's just unemployment.
Until this interview comes out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, please.
What are you looking to do? Are you looking to stay in the TV realm? Are you looking to do film?
I would love anything that's interesting. I love miniseries because you're not married to the project for too long. I think film is what I want to do, like long term. But at the moment, I just did a little indie film that was like a fun experience, and it was quite like an extreme character, which I really enjoyed. It was the first time I really got to like do some character acting. I feel. Yeah. Sorry, I totally lost track of my. What was the question again? It was
about looking into film and like what kind of types of roles you would like to go after.
Now I'm just I just had a meeting about this Aussie character today. It'd be kind of cool. But yeah, it's just kind of looking for the next thing and feeling it out, and you know, we'll see what happens.
Are you going to be bi-coastal, or are you going to stay based in California?
Depends whether I get this job or not. But yeah, awesome. I mean, it'd be super cool. I would love to work in New York for a few months. I've just been enjoying the city so much. It's like it's a very special vibe here. But yeah, we'll see.
Any interest in doing theater?
Definitely, but that's something I want to do when I'm financially stable. I want to, because at the moment it's like I can't even afford to do theater.
Right. Because you're not going to get paid a lot.
Especially in LA. But I would love to do theater. I've always wanted to do Long Day's Journey into Night. But like as I get older, play different characters in that play. I think that'd be really cool because I feel like each character in that play kind of represents a whole different set of chops that you have to have in order to do it. You know, the older brother, they say, you know, that's the role that made Philip Seymour Hoffman relapse, and like it's like this cursed, because it's so dark. You know, it's a play right before.
Cursed with Heath Ledger. You're cursed with
Hoffman. I know something. I don't know. We'll see. If I'm still alive in a couple of years, then you know.
Yes, please. He's still alive in a couple of years. Now, who were some of your inspirations growing up that made you want to become an actor, or was it just something ingrained in you that you just wanted to do without being influenced by others' careers?
I definitely had some. Actually, Heath Ledger was a huge inspiration for me. It was like something about his spirit and the way he carried himself. I thought was just like very unique and very generous and kind, and I thought he was amazing. I saw this movie Candy actually when I was pretty young. It's about like a junkie couple, and seeing that was super inspiring to me. At the moment, I'm a huge fan of like Paul Dano. I can never pronounce his name. Mahershala Ali. Is that right?
Yeah.
He
or
is
Mahershala. Yeah.
I think he's doing some really, really amazing stuff. Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano. That's kind of, and Marion Cotillard. Unbelievable. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I think she's one of the finest actors of all time. But I think it's just. I actually, you know, when I was a little bit younger, I was really into Tom Hardy. I loved what's that one with he plays like the prisoner, Bronson. I don't know if you ever saw Bronson.
I have not. No.
You should check it. That's like one of Tom Hardy's
movie.
finest. Yeah. And do you see Warrior?
Not seen that either.
Dude, you need to. You'll dig it. Yeah, it's really.
Now I have two
really
more
good.
things that I gotta watch.
Yeah, I know. Sorry to add to the list.
Thanks so much. We'll be cutting that part of the interview out. Now, you mentioned that you would like to do film, but it's also an exciting time to be an actor because you have so many
Yeah.
online platforms now. CBS
Yeah, there's
has
so
a
much
platform,
content,
Netflix, Hulu, all these. Does that excite you as a younger actor that,
Totally. I think that like, well, I think what's being made right now is also like so exciting, and yeah, well, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because there's now more opportunities than ever, but now there's also so much more content than there's ever been, and it's impossible to watch it all, and so like
Right.
I think there's a lot of great stuff that gets vastly ignored, and that's okay, but. Yeah, I think it's a really exciting time to be an actor. I think it's an exciting time to be filmmaker as well because people are really playing with format. I heard somebody is starting like, and I think this is really actually indicative of like our culture and maybe the like ADHD-ness of it. But like people are now developing like 10-minute like that you just content that's supposed to be viewed on your phone.
Yeah.
And like I can actually see that working if maybe it's done right.
especially, people are so on the go that they can watch
Exactly, on a
stuff
lunch
like
break,
that
like,
and get sucked
If it's
in.
actually good content, like
Yeah,
why not?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now-
And when with VR and augmented reality, I think like entertainment is changing as well. Like that's really cool. Motion capture for video games. And I'm huge into video games as well, so I think that would be super fun. I think it's a cool time to
Yeah, it's a very
be
cool
working.
time to be an actor.
Yeah.
So, now, did you do the prerequisite horror film as a young actor, or you have not done that yet?
That's the one that I just did.
You did?
Yeah, I literally just did that one. It's like a psychological thriller, but yeah, low budget horror indie.
What was that like filming, a project like that?
It was. I learned a lot. It was a tough experience, but also really cool. It's a very small set. It all took place in that house, and I play like an agoraphobe, and I'm in every single scene. So it was like a new level of responsibility that I felt that I had. But it was nice feeling that I can carry something like that. Well, I mean, the jury's still out on that one. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And will that be released this year?
Yes, I believe
And
it'll
what's
be
the
this
title?
year. It's called Eye Without a Face.
Eye Without a Face.
It's about a agoraphobe who has hacked into all these young women's webcams, and that's his only real human interaction. He considers himself like he thinks he's their guardian angel, and he watches over them, but it's kind of twisted, weird.
There's a new show on Netflix
Oh,
called
You.
You.
Yes,
So
I've heard
that
that's
you
so
might-
bad good.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah?
good.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
awesome.
crazy good. That's something you definitely
I
have
really
to.
want to check it out.
But, that kind of content draws an audience now. And I
Totally.
feel like people will go to that type of content in the future
I think so. I
with
think
the success of that show. So that's a good time for you to
absolutely.
be
Yeah,
releasing
and those
that.
kind of characters are kind of compelling anyway. I think that like, yeah, even though they're much less like adapted to life than we are, there's still
Right.
something. I mean, personally, that like I always see myself a little bit in
Yeah.
those kind of characters, like not the like psycho, but
Yeah,
just,
we're going to have to wrap this up real quick.
please hire me.
Please hire me. I'm a psycho, and this is the last thing you'll
Do
see
some
me
really
doing.
good
This- my last interview. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out,
Oh,
Dakota.
man,
It's
thank
been
you
an
so much for
absolute
having me.
pleasure talking to you, and I look forward
Likewise,
to
man.
your film this year and what else you have coming out.
Awesome.
Let's have 2019 be your year, man.
Yes, please.
Thanks so
Ryan. I
much,
appreciate
Dakota.
it.